You make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Alrighty, let's kick this thing off. Surfers, good morning from the rooftop of the Paradise Pad. I'm down here in Tulum, Mexico, living my best life. I think Bitcoin's up. Maybe it's down. I genuinely don't know because I'm just touching sand and having a great time. Hope you guys are doing well over wherever you are tuning in from. It is December 3rd. It is Fusaka Day. ETH just underwent its most significant upgrade probably since Pectra, maybe since the staking was enabled on Ethereum. I mean, this is major stuff for Ethereum. So we will cover what that means for ETH scalability, L2s, and of course what it means for price, because that's what I know you degens care about. And, we'll also talk about the Paradise Pad, because I'm in the mood to shill Tulum. You guys got to get on this free vacation tip. You're missing out. All right, so with that, how have you guys been doing? I know we've been out a couple days. What's the latest in your world? And then maybe we can get to some stories.
Oh, just been enjoying a nice little rebound here. Market's bottomed around 80K and got a nice bounce here around 84K. Sorry. Had some fun over the weekend with MicroStrategy. Michael Saylor made a post something about people basically interpreted it as they might sell some. So that, of course, jumped the price of Bitcoin. We saw a single day candle drop us about almost 7% in a single day. Or a little over 7% a single day there, but bottomed out around 84. And a nice recovery here at the beginning of the week. A lot of bullish stuff that we'll cover in the stories today. We got QT ending. We got the Ethereum upgrade coming out. We got, QE on the horizon. We're a week away from the rate cuts. There's talks of new Fed chairman. There is a new Bitcoin treasury bill that just got put up. All sorts of stuff. The macro continues to be bullish as hell. The chart's hopefully going to turn around, starting to look a little bit better. Is this going to be, was the bottom in? Are we straight up from here back to new all-time highs? Or are we going to get, kind of get a little year-end pump, maybe a little correction again in January? I don't know. I got some theories of my own we'll get into a little later. But overall, you know what I'm doing. I'm going to keep hodling. And like we said last week, in a year from now, we're going to be at 300 or 30K. Either way, we're happy. 30K, brilliant opportunity to buy some more Bitcoin. 300K, obviously everybody's happy then. So that's my mindset. I'm here for the long run. So been a good last couple days here.
Yeah, we got Pulse Jitsu in the house saying I'm here for the tech. That is awesome. Good time to be here for the tech because the price hasn't been doing great. Wyckoff SMI saying smash the like, share, and subscribe button. Martin in the house saying, hey, it's working. Yeah, yesterday we tried to go live not once but twice, and it was just giving us a white screen. That's why we got so much to cover today. Hands in the house. I'm here for the FUD. Hopefully the FUD is over. That's what drove that price lower. Now we have a higher low yesterday. And then final curse. Hey guys, I'm at work. Can't really watch, but I'll try. Well, then you should listen. Get some earbuds. Listen in so that way you can be double dipping. While you're doing your day job making some money, you can figure out the best ways to invest it and hopefully multiply it here in the future. As you can see on the Bitcoin chart, we've been pretty spot on as far as trading Bitcoin, calling tops. Had a lot of patience and started buying Bitcoin back. Yesterday did look like a very convincing higher low there on the chart that we saw when we bottomed around 84,000 on the back of a little bit more FUD around MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy's quarterly earning report, I did listen to that. It was 22 minutes long. No glaring red flags, but there is the caveat that they are able to sell Bitcoin if needed to pay dividends. Now, the caveat to that is They have enough cash right now, $1.44 billion, to pay dividends for the next 1.75 years, indicating they would only be buyers of Bitcoin, not sellers of Bitcoin, as long as Bitcoin doesn't trend down to towards zero for the next 1.75 years before they run out of cash in order to pay dividends out. Also, why are we close to big numbers? I've been saying 93 to 95,000 Bitcoin will make me feel a little more comfy. We keep getting rejected at that level, not once, but twice now. Why is that also important and have some confluence with MicroStrategy? If Bitcoin gets above 95,000 by the end of this year, so in the next 25 days, they actually will be showing green for their revenue and income line for the year to date on the company as a whole, which I think drastically shifts morale, momentum, and potential inflows into MicroStrategy. When MicroStrategy get inflows, they start trading at a premium. When they trade at a premium, they can raise funds to buy more Bitcoin, and the flywheel effect turns back on. A $3,000 rally from here does not much. I mean, we rallied 6,000 yesterday, so we just need to close above 95,000 by the end of this year, and I think we get a lot of momentum and morale from the MicroStrategy side of things on Bitcoin's price chart.
Well, two massive catalysts have transpired while I was relaxing with my family on the beach, drinking Mai Tais and not paying attention to the markets. One, Bank of America, one of the largest banking institutions in the entire world, certainly the United States, rival of JP Morgan, has now permitted their wealth managers, those who manage the wealth of rich people, right? They have now recommended that they have allowed, I should say, those managers to recommend that individual investors port 1 to 4% of their portfolio over to Bitcoin and cryptos. That would mean Bitcoin and Ethereum. They ain't recommending your degen meme coins, folks, but Bitcoin and Ethereum are now very much in play, and Bank of America's managers are permitting their investors to now invest into Bitcoin and ETH. That is absolutely massive. The amount of money that we're talking about is in the hundreds of billions of dollars. And I believe that is one reason why we had that big pump yesterday. But the second reason is the hated Vanguard, of which I have an account at Vanguard, by the way. Great for low cost, low fee index, S&P 500, ETFs, whatever. They're now allowing individuals to invest directly into Bitcoin through Vanguard. That is a 180-degree sea change from their position just a few years ago when they said, hey, pet rock, stay away. It's going to zero. It's fugazi, blah, 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 blah. Not only do they permit their investors to get involved, it's one of the most successful products even on day one of Vanguard, allowing folks to buy Bitcoin ETF through Vanguard. The boomers want it, the millennials want it, the Gen Z wants it. My kids who aren't even old enough to know what Bitcoin is, they're gonna want it too. Okay, guys, so hop on this damn train. It's a $2 trillion asset class, and there's $500 trillion in liquid assets in the world. Do not sleep on Bitcoin. Michael Saylor is going to be fine. MicroStrategy is going to be fine. And all holders are going to make it.
Yeah, Vanguard famously has been one of the bigger sticks in the muds. JP Morgan, all these banks, all the major funds around the world, governments have been adopting Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin. And Vanguard they were one of the first, if I'm correct, to have an ETF filing that they pulled off the table and said, you know what, we don't want to do our own ETF. We don't think this is good for our clients. That was only, less than 18 months ago. So they have been very notorious for being massive haters of this industry, massive fudders of Bitcoin. So major, not only the fact that they're in $11 trillion under management, but getting someone who is so staunchly opposed to crypto, opposed to Bitcoin, on the Bitcoin train. Big win for this industry here this week. One of many bullish stories that we've got here today. It's just been a solid last couple of days for the macro as we continue to see new regulatory things come to fruition. QT, I know that a lot of two camps continue to emerge. You know, the 4-year versus the 5-year. All the 4-year guys are like, look at the TA, it's a downtrend. Look at all this, and all the 5-year guys are going, yeah, but look at all the macro stuff lining up. 2026 is going to be huge. So I think the gap kind of continues to widen between these 4 and 5-year cycle people. We know we're in the 5-year cycle camp. I got some more interesting stuff to look at here a bit later around the 5-year cycle. We've talked a lot about the ISM and why rather than a 4-year halving cycle, it's really been a 4-year liquidity cycle, and why that's lengthened because of COVID. We've covered that ad nauseum. We don't need to go back into that again, but seeing some really interesting stuff. Last cycle, we had a 6-month kind of, what was a double top there, but it peaked in the early spring. It crashed 56%. Everybody said, all right, it's over. Cycle's broken, blah, 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 all this stuff. 6 months later, new all-time high, right? So we're only down like 36, 37%. It's only been a month and a half. This could go on longer. This could get deeper and still line up with all the macro stuff we're looking at for a huge pump at the end of Q1, amazing Q2, Q3, and Q4 next year. That's kind of what I'm seeing coming, kind of what I'm forecasting to see. Hopefully we don't see a lot lower. Hopefully it doesn't drag out too far into Q1, but it wouldn't be out of character to see something like that, like we saw last cycle, but with the extension into a 5-year cycle because of the lengthening of those loan maturities, the liquidity cycle extending for an extra year here.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see the tide shift. Bank of America actually used to ban people back in 2017 and 2018 that were using their accounts for crypto. And now, back then I was saying, hey, all these banks are going to say you need to allocate 1 to 5% of your portfolio into Bitcoin or crypto. Bank of America skipped that and just said they need to do 4% of your portfolio into crypto. So it's pretty wild to see how things are changing. And this is just another data point of fundamentals are leading price for crypto. And could the bear market be here and the 4-year halving cycle still be alive and we're all have pie on our face? Yes. But you know who else would have pie on their face? All of the big banks, all of the big institutions, all of the big players, BlackRock, whatever. Do those people really ever get pie on their face? No, the only time they get pie on their face is when they get caught committing fraud and they get charged fees by the SEC or the U.S. government. So other than that, I just don't see how this will be the first time really in human history that the peasants will be right and the institutions will get pie on their face.
I can't wait for these bears to get wrecked. Just get wrecked and left behind. It's going to happen, guys. Happens every time. Ask anyone who sold back, last cycle, the cycle before. I got friends. All my friends and I, we started a crypto at the same time. They sold along the way because they didn't believe. They bought into the FUD. They thought this cycle, that cycle. They thought the dates. They thought it's going to zero. Pet Rock, JP Morgan is like it. Who knows what the hell they thought, but they all sold out. And what are those guys doing with their time right now? I promise you, they're not on the top of the paradise pad, sitting in Tulum, Mexico, vacationing with their family when, if I had a normal job, I'd be working at a desk. You got to believe in something, guys. You got to believe in this asset class. And I cannot wait for the bears to get wrecked. I cannot wait. A lot of positive stuff happened. We know QT ended on the 1st. Interesting thing, you look back to 2019. I think this cycle, the corollary is actually 2019, not 2021. Much more similar chart-wise, macro-wise. 2021, throw it out the window. That was COVID. Bananas stuff was going on. They were printing money like they're tomorrow. This is more like 2019. And in 2019, you had a shutdown, right? Everyone thought market's going to pump. It was Trump 1.0, by the way. Shut down. Okay, it opens up. Market doesn't pump. Still goes down more. Same thing happened this time. Then you had QT ending. Okay, market's surely going to pump. Not quite. It did start to slowly grind up, actually, if you look at the chart. But it was the QE, the actual injection of capital into the banks, into the market, and into the economy that then caused the risk assets to go on a parabolic run. I believe we are looking at a 2019 to 2020 situation, which would lead us to believe that QE is coming. It would lead us to believe that 26 is the year, and it would lead us to believe that all the bears who cheated out at the lows will be left behind, and Tom Lee and all his holders will be laughing all the way to the bank as ETH smashes past $7, $8, $9, $10, $12,000 this cycle. See you guys on the beach.
Yeah, speaking of the 2019 cycle, Benjamin Cohen into the cryptoverse, very famous Bitcoin TA guy, pointing out the fact in 2019 when they announced the QT would end on August 1st, that means that they're going to stop any further selling of assets. It doesn't mean that there's not things in place that can still continue this month. As he pointed out here, the balance sheet of the Fed continuing to drop in August despite QT having officially ended because the last round of Treasury maturities didn't settle until mid-August. So just because officially on the 1st they've ended QT doesn't mean we're not going to see any continued sell-off from the Fed throughout the rest of this month. It also doesn't mean QE starts immediately. Now, they will probably hear before the end of the year some more information around when they're planning on QE, how they're planning on it, how much, when, etc. But it's going to take some time for that to get started, as we've talked about and seen charts of in the past. The real magic happens when QE starts in earnest. Now, that could take some time. However, as we've also talked about, they can't wait much longer. If they want the downstream effects of QE to start hitting the average everyday guy's pockets in time to make it a difference in the election, they can't wait till the summer to really start pushing things. They need to start probably, mid to late Q1 for that to really start to see effect on the economy and the average voter's pockets before, the midterm elections start coming in. A lot of states have primaries for these elections earlier in the year that they're going to want this stuff to already be spooling up and making an impact for people. So it's not like November is the ultimate date. There's stuff that's going to be going on leading up to November. So I would expect probably a lot more news on QE in the next month or so here.
Yeah, I think everything's playing out directly as you guys were talking about, and we will find out here in like 6 or 7 days if there's going to be another rate cut. And the poly market odds are up above 90% for a 25 basis point cut and around 1% for a surprise 50 basis point cut. So, this is starkly different. And why does this matter? I think this is really just talks about, here at Crypto Paradise, we were beating the table that we thought there was going to be a cut when there was only like a 45% chance of a 25 basis point cut and less than a 1% chance of a 50 basis point. And look where the numbers are now. So we were ahead of the curve, whether you bet on poly market, whether you bet by holding your positions and not selling on the panic sell to 80,000 Bitcoin, and now we're back to 92,000. And whichever way you're winning, we have been right on this case, and it looks like we are going to be right here in about 6 or 7 days if a interest rate cut does in fact happen. And that is really kind of the start of lower interest rates, QE, QT ending, and everything playing out with the fundamentals leading crypto price here. So it's good to see the trend is our friend when it comes to poly market and the chance of yet another interest rate cut. And remember, it's not just about this one. It takes time for these interest rate cuts to play out, but they are speculating another 3 cuts over the next few months. There's one in like January, one in March, and one in July or something like that, all looking for potential more interest rate cuts to lower towards their target of, I think, 2.5 or 3% is the target there.
Yeah, let me see what, I know they have how many rate cuts in 2026? Fed rate hike, how many Fed rate cuts 2026? Looks like the odds are on 3, 4, not far behind it, 5 even at 13%. There's a lot of people thinking 3 to 5 rate cuts in next year here. If we get 5 rate cuts next year, man, that's going to be impressive. Even 3 is going to do a lot for us, but I think that's probably the sweet spot in here. What's the outlier on that? It's not bad. I mean, you could scatter some bets across here, cover your odds. I mean, even if you just hit this right now, Pace still wins 65 bucks, spreading $100 across all 3. Little upside there.
There you go.
Yeah, based on
Forget investing in altcoins, boys. Let's just start speculating on world events.
Right, we've been pretty right on those world events. We probably should have done that. Our bags would probably be looking a little better. I think there's going to be, I think they're going to cut rates in December. We're not going to fade that because we've been so right on that. And I think they do 3 rate cuts early next year. And then what could lead you to 4 or 5, or why people are probably betting on that, is you get this new dovish Fed chair in there in May or June, and then he still has half a year to decide if he can push for another rate cut or 2, which is pretty wild to think about.
Yeah, 3 I think is foregone conclusion almost, absent something bizarre happening, because they've already indicated they want to do 3. They want to get back to, quote, neutral. They haven't defined what neutral is, but neutral certainly isn't 4%. It's much more likely closer to 2.5%. So they want to get back down there. They want to get interest rates to 2.5. They want to get inflation to 2. Gas, we know, is basically the lowest it's been in years. Credit President Trump for that as well. So look, we're in a good spot, guys. We're in a really good spot. And one thing I love coming down here. One reason I love coming down here, by the way, shout out to Rema. Not the worst place to stream from exactly. Yes, I am on the rooftop of the Paradise Pad. It's Crypto Paradise's own 2-bedroom, 2-bath down here in Tulum. All DAO members, yes, all DAO members. You need 200,000 surf to get in the DAO. You guys are entitled to free vacation. 5 free nights down here in Tulum. And one reason why I love coming down here so much is it really starts to give you a little perspective. Every time I'm here, I'm like, you know what? The markets are going to be fine. I don't need to obsess about the day-to-day, the price, the up, the down. Like, it's all going to be fine. They're going to continue to debase the US dollar. Money will continue to flow into hard assets. I'm going to continue to hold, and everything is going to be fine. So if anyone needs like a little, let's just call it reassurance. Let's just call it a little chill out sesh. Let's just call it a little, it's all going to be okay. We are all going to make it. Get in the DAO, hit us up, bring your friends, bring your family. We know all the great spots, all the great beaches, the great tacos. This is a really special place, ladies and gentlemen. Tulum is awesome. They got an international airport here now. There's no reason, if you guys are following the channel, not to come down. Treat your wife, treat your girlfriend. She'll be so happy. She'll say, wait, what? You bought into a crypto coin? And that's why we're going on this free vacation? Maybe I should get a bag too, and I'll invite my girlfriends down next time. So take us up, hit us up about this, guys. I mean, this is a real special place. I'm feeling great. I haven't really thought about the charts. I don't barely know what's going on in the market, so that's why I'm not talking too much about the markets today, and I'm just shilling Tulum. But I'll tell you what, it's a wonderful place. Get down here, get in the DAO. You will not regret it.
Yeah, and here's another bullish thing. This is Livermore's speculative chart. This has been around for ages, as you can tell by the image. This looks a lot like the market cycles chart that people now share, but this one actually uses data points. And, you know, we've been talking about $244,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2025, but we thought the cycle might have been over by 2025. Well, it's not. So will we get to 244,000 by the end of the cycle that we think ends in 2026? Well, this chart says that by the end of 2026, you're going to be somewhere around 220 to 240,000. That's some interesting confluence. Now, this one is showing that based on Livermore's speculative chart that this would actually be a super cycle and you wouldn't top until middle of 2027. Now, I don't think at this point that I can say I believe the crypto market cycle is going to last that long. I think 2026 is more the likely outcome. But this is something to keep an eye on. Another chart that is circulating that is coming out of the Livermore's speculative chart out of his teachings from back in the day. And it is pretty interesting how the fractals are playing out here. And this upside would be by middle to end of 2026. We see this data point 8, which leads you right around $200,000 Bitcoin. What would that mean for Ethereum? Well, I believe ETH will outperform Bitcoin, which would lead Ethereum above $10,000 at that price point.
Anytime you see a chart that looks old, you know, like that, the farmers, chart going back, showing the cycles going back like 150 years. Anytime you see this, it's like old, it's on parchment. It's been written by a scribe. Guys, this is it.
This is it. Follow it.
This is it, guys. This is as reliable as, looking at the stars and just trying to figure out what's going to happen because of astrology. Right. No, I'm just kidding. Look. If you want to draw charts and you want to believe in charts, why is Benjamin Cowens any better than this guy? Tell me that, okay? So if you want to follow charts, you go ahead and follow charts. This one looks good to me. Certainly looks good to me. Why don't we talk about Ethereum? Why don't we talk about Ethereum for a minute? Because I know Nick thinks it's going to outperform Bitcoin. I think it will too. From at least from this stage of the cycle, how many more multiples we have left in Bitcoin versus ETH. Massive upgrade just dropped. Flawless deployment, no issues. You'll remember the last one that actually had an issue with deployment. They had to delay it by a week or two. This flawlessly has been deployed. Makes the chain scalable, faster. It makes the L2s finally have to pay their fair share of ETH if they want to use the main chain, burning more Ethereum. And it also leads to further improvements like the interoperability between the L2s and Ethereum. It leads to the privacy features that are going to be deployed on Ethereum. They're saying this is the biggest upgrade since the Pectra upgrade, which I believe allowed staking. So, guys, if you're not bullish on Ethereum, I don't know what's going to make you bullish on Ethereum. If you think there's any other L1 that's going to, over a long period, I'm talking about a 10-year period, is going to somehow beat Ethereum, I want to hear your arguments right now, because I don't see it happening.
I think in a couple years from now, people will be begging for 3K ETH again.
Oh, yeah, they will. Just like they, oh, I wish, who remembers back when, we were all celebrating, Bitcoin to 20,000 or whatever. Now it's like 100. So, yeah, that's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens. 3K ETH is a gift. It's all being manipulated. Whales are selling stupidly early, as they always do. I guess some of them made a lot of money. But I just did a video about this. A risk-adjusted opportunity in crypto. What's a better opportunity right now from a risk to reward standpoint than Ethereum? It ain't going to zero. It's not. I'm not. Sure, you can find ones that'll be doing 100x in a week, but then they'll just crash right back down. Deep liquidity, institutional adoption, constant improvements. Tom Lee's shilling it. They got the big nerd behind it for the nerds who love it. Burns with every transaction. Now going to be deflationary. The entirety of Web3 essentially runs on this train, whether directly on Ethereum or on one of the L2s. What is going to beat this? And it's at 3,000. It's not even at a $500 billion market cap. The market cap is less than Coca-Cola, which sells sugary drinks, for Christ's sake. This is the best opportunity. If you have $50,000 to invest into crypto right now and you're not looking to take on a lot of risk, but you want some great upside, what's better than Ethereum? There's nothing.
Yeah, and I think it's really just entrenched. And like you say, you got this new upgrade. You really haven't had retail in the market. Retail likes Ethereum over Bitcoin because they like altcoins, which means they need to buy Ethereum to then buy the altcoin, which pumps the Ethereum price, creates volume that buys and burns the token, etc. You also have Thomas Lee not fading from they want to own 5% of all the Ethereum. Right now they own like 3%, so they're halfway there. Joe Lubing at Sharpling Gaming wants to own 5%. They own like 1.5%, so they're like a fourth of the way there. So a lot of buyers, big buyers, when the market turns around. Well, Nick, why aren't they buying right now? Remember, they work off a system in which they need institutional FOMO to raise capital in order to then buy Ethereum and create the flywheel effect. That only occurs when their MNAV is at a premium. Right now, it is at a discount to market, meaning that it is cheaper to buy those stocks than it is to buy spot ETH itself based on their Ethereum holdings. So we need that to flip. How does that flip? Ethereum needs to surge here. It needs to go from $3,000 to $3,500, $3,600, $4,000. Then those MNAVs flip to a premium. Then they raise more capital, and then they buy more Ethereum. It's the same thing that's happening with what I said earlier in the show, where you need Bitcoin to be above 95,000 for MicroStrategy to start raising funds again and start buying more Bitcoin. So, if you guys want this to happen, get some retail friends into crypto, get them to buy it, because we don't need a big move. We need another like 2 to 5% move in ETH and Bitcoin for the DATs to start buying again. And here's the ETH to Bitcoin chart that we have been talking about since all the way back here. You see that green arrow every live show telling you to buy Ethereum and that Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin since May of 2025 at 0.19. Now it is at 0.033, up 90%, while Bitcoin's also up in the USD dollar terms. And it looks like Ethereum is basing once again and wants to head higher. This is what you want to see, because this is when we can make money in the trenches in altcoins and try to get more retail investors into the market. It is no coincidence that when we were making a lot of money on Pulse Chain, in PTGC, in the blue chips, in the surf launch, it was in these peaks here, because again, when Ethereum surges, there's a lot of speculation of those funds coming over to Pulse Chain and pumping that network as well. So there's a lot of things riding on Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin, and it comes to retail adoption, DATs buying up Ethereum, speculation for Pulse Chain hype, and really just altcoins really being able to make us gains once again.
ETH is the ticker, ladies and gentlemen. I know there's some people out there may say Solana, okay, maybe some random L2s, but without meme season, is Solana really getting a lot of usage? I know there is a Solana ETF, so let's not discount that. But memes were its bread and butter, and memes require an incredibly risk-on environment. ETH has almost all the stablecoin volume. It has Wall Street saying we are going to tokenize stocks and deploy it on Ethereum. It has the, let's say, the executives in the world of real estate saying we're going to aim to migrate real estate transactions and deeds and so on onto Ethereum, right? So just from a real world adoption standpoint, not talking about Web3 degen stuff, which we know can come and go. And obviously ETH, by the way, has that too. It's got pretty much all the DeFi, the lending and borrowing, etc., and even had NFTs for a long time when those mattered. But from a let's call it Wall Street, let's call it Main Street, let's call it real world adoption standpoint, I just don't see any chain outperforming ETH. Plus you can earn the passive income, plus the burning of the Ethereum every single time there's a transaction. It's a productive asset. You know, I've seen some arguments on X, fun little thought experiments, saying basically if ETH had been the first crypto and not Bitcoin, this industry might actually be loved and adopted and so it might value much higher because ETH actually does something. And don't get me wrong, I love Bitcoin, finite supply, digital gold, instantaneous transactions, deep liquidity, okay, but you can say that for a lot of coins. So, you know, if ETH had been the first, would ETH be sitting at, a $2 million market cap? You sort of have to wonder because it does actually have more use cases and more utility than even Big Daddy Bitcoin.
Nate, I see you have this Twitter up here. You want to
How
run through some of those?
Spicy take.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, in terms of what how are we gonna get this big ETH pump? Obviously, the upgrade is great. Stable coins are gonna be great, but in the short term, while we're waiting for all the stable coin adoption and banks to continue to build on Ethereum, why do we still believe in the 5-year cycle? Why are we still bullish on 2026? I got two different posts here from two different big Twitter personalities, talking about why is everyone so bearish right now? I understand in the immediate short term. If we're looking for next year, an extended super cycle, S&P is at new all-time highs, gold's at all-time highs, M2 continues to increase, more rate cuts are coming, Tether is the most over-collateralized bank in the world, CME gap is filled, MicroStrategy has no selling risk until 2027, there's no top indicators I've hit, the death cross is always double Bitcoin price in 6 months following in this cycle, there's been no euphoria, there's extreme, altcoins are extremely oversold, yet we're still saying the bull run is over. So much in the macro picture. That's just kind of, high level stuff. Technical stuff. Trump saying he's going to keep stocks at record highs. Exactly what we've been talking about. They're not going to let the market collapse in an election year. $600 billion a year in the Magnificent Seven capex. Feds are cutting interest rates to below 3% plus inflation. Global AI infrastructure expending is going to be $1 trillion or more a year. That money keeps on flooding. We just saw, I think it was Saudi Arabia, committing another insane chunk of money to the U.S. Infrastructure development. Fed, QT just ended. QE is starting. Deficits, spending, over 6% of U.S. GDP. NVIDIA, larger than all but five national stock markets. Line after line after line. We got stimulus checks. There's so much in the macro pushing things forward. I just don't see how we are go into a traditional 18-month crypto winter. Kyle Chassie here also. $8 trillion now sitting on the sidelines in U.S. money markets. They're getting that easy 5% with treasury bonds essentially. Easy money. That's going away. As interest rates get cut, that number is going down, down, down. When that happens, that money is going to come flooding into risk-on assets. There's huge pools. There's more money on the sidelines now than there ever has been. This is a massive tidal wave coming to crypto. I understand the TA guy's perspective. I understand the 4-year cycle stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me right now. I balance the evidence. I hear both sides, and the evidence to me seems to sit firmly in the extended cycle camp.
And that's something that we've been on the side of and talking about for quite a while, and more data keeps backing up our opinion of that. So remember, we've been talking about this $7.5 trillion in the money markets that if interest rates get cut multiple times will find its way into other investable asset classes. It is actually around 800 million now. 800, what is this, 8 trillion? Yeah, 7.5 trillion before, it's 8 trillion now. And we have an interest rate cut potentially in the next 6 days, and then we have 3 or 4 more interest rate cuts in 2026. When that comes down, they will need to look at other yield and other investment strategies, as their yield from these money markets will not supersede the inflation rate, which means they'll be going backward on their investments, which is what they cannot do to keep assets under management, what they cannot do to keep charging their clients fees. It's just the way the markets work. That's why a surprise 50 basis point cut in 6 days would be electric, because the market is definitely not pricing that in, and I think that means you would start to see that 8 trillion move faster than they anticipated.
Well, and how about this for something to pour some gasoline on an already roaring fire? New Bitcoin strategic bill just got introduced to Congress. Now, obviously, it's got a long ways to go. It's going to be an uphill battle to get passed. But what is it going to do? Allow you to pay your taxes in Bitcoin. Don't do that. Don't pay your taxes in Bitcoin. Don't buy Starbucks. Don't buy Shake Shack with your Bitcoin. Save your Bitcoin. Spend your fiat on that stuff. But here's the kicker. This is the important part. No capital gains tax on Bitcoin.
That's why you would pay with your Bitcoin. Buy your Bitcoin at 92 right now, right at the 125, and then use the profits to pay taxes. That's how the rich will get richer.
Well, imagine the amount of capital that will flow into Bitcoin purely because there's no capital gains tax on it. I mean, even if there's a different asset class.
You only get the no capital gains if you pay your taxes with the Bitcoin. That's how I understand that. Yeah, I think,
regardless.
and we'll see if this gets passed. But it's not going to be just no capital gains on Bitcoin. No way, because, look, Trump, he's doing his darndest to help this industry. And I think it's because, he genuinely, understands those are his supporters, and, his family's involved in the industry and all those things. But he also knows that if he can convince Bitcoiners to actually pay their taxes, that's a ton of money coming into the U.S. coffers, which is in his interest as well. So it's not going to be no taxes on Bitcoin. It's going to be no taxes if you pay your taxes in Bitcoin. But I don't know if this gets passed. There's a lot of bills like this to get floated around. There's the woman from Wyoming, I believe, who's constantly putting out super bullish Bitcoin bills that just never go anywhere. So we'll see. We'll see if this legislation happens. I think regardless, the momentum is clear. The direction of where the authorities and the regulators want this industry to go is clear. I think the biggest story from the standpoint of regulation and politics, etc., is actually that stablecoin bill, which requires that all stablecoins be backed exclusively with U.S. treasuries, because the U.S. treasuries weren't able to be sold to anybody else, and so now they have to be sold basically only these stablecoin issuers. So great, we found a buyer for the treasuries, which are dog shit investments, and of course this helps all of crypto as well. So that's one big reason why they're pushing crypto, guys. Don't get it twisted, but don't fight momentum. Don't fight Wall Street. Don't fight the politicians. Don't fight the likes of Tom Lee. If you're following PFP guy on the internet saying, "Oh, hey, look, I told you it was going to crash on such and such a date, and it did, and therefore 4-year cycles in and get out of the markets," I think you're in for a rude awakening come mid-26 when we're at 150,000 plus Bitcoin.
Yeah, we talked a bit last week about the effects of the Genius Act, or the whichever one that implements the mandatory buying of treasuries. It's essentially a get out of jail free card for the U.S. government to continue to finance this this pyramid scheme they've got going. It's kicking the can down the road another probably decade for us. So it gives them a little breathing room. It makes perfect sense why all this 180 flip on crypto, on Bitcoin. It's benefiting them just as much as it has the potential to benefit us. Don't make any mistakes there. It is a long shot to get this bill passed, but think about, rewind the clock 2 years. Do we think 2 years ago the SEC was suing Kraken and Coinbase? Now we've seen that Fed Chairman Paul Atkins confirms the crypto innovation exemption is launching in 2026. You're not going to be able to launch tokens and products with full SEC registration for the first time ever, right? They're now embracing crypto. So a lot of stuff that we said was impossible, we thought would never happen. Crypto being labeled as non-securities, crypto coming back to the U.S., the Bitcoin strategic reserve, all these things that seemed like far-fetched dreams are now realities. So, is it impossible to see something like this go through? No, absolutely. Nothing's out of the question. Give it some more time. And if they were to pass a bill where if you were able to not have to pay capital gains tax simply by paying those taxes in crypto, think about the amount of money that people are going to yeet, that funds, banks, investors, high net worth individuals are going to yeet into Bitcoin simply to have a vehicle where they can avoid paying taxes on. That would be absolutely insane. Never say never. Never count out the greed in the markets, baby, because we've seen time and time again.
Well, that's what it is, man. It's just follow the money. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made in this industry. The politicians know it. Wall Street knows it. Even some average everyday degens like us know it. And when there is this much money to be made, the momentum becomes almost impossible to stop unless the dimwit voters out there decide to vote in some asshole like Elizabeth Warren. That's the only way to stop this train, and even she can't do it. So this train is not slowing down. The progress is not stopping from a political standpoint, from a Wall Street standpoint, from an adoption standpoint, from an everyday user standpoint. Nothing is stopping this train, guys. So I know there's volatility. Oh, it crashes 30%. I feel poorer for a month on paper. Oh no, number on screen went down for a month. Just be patient, wait out the volatility, have a 5 or 10 year time horizon, and that, my friends, is how you end up retiring on the beach in Tulum without a care in the world.
Crypto Amory's over there had one too many drinks already this morning. He's over there living the life over there. Hey, Nate and I are living pretty good lives. We're definitely not there on the beach. We're definitely not feeling flush with capital
I'll tell you
right
what.
now.
I found Tulum's a paradise, guys. You got these pharmacies. They'll sell you whatever you want. Okay, I won't go too much into detail. These pharmacies will sell you whatever you want. There's 2-for-1 margaritas everywhere you go. Have you guys noticed this trend? If you're walking down the beach, girls don't wear normal bathing suits anymore. It's thong or nothing. It's just thongs. Just thongs for days. You got free drinks everywhere. You got parties happening everywhere. The sun doesn't stop shining. Guys, I'm telling you, 5 free nights. We're giving away vacations. We are literally giving away vacations. And I did a short form video on this the other day. What other influencer or KOL or whatever you want to call this channel is giving away free real world experiences? I know some will give you some USDT, like this tweet, we'll give you 100 USDT. Okay, that's cool for some dude living in a village. How about a genuine experience that's going to improve your life? Who's doing that, man? No one other than Crypto Paradise. So get us in the DMs. Get in the Dow, get your free vacation, get away from the chart, touch some sand. You will not regret it. And then you'll see what I'm talking about with these thongs. It's pretty astonishing.
Well said. All you need to do is buy 200,000 surf, which right now with the market being down is pretty cheap. So probably worth it just to buy 200,000 surf just for the 5-day trip down to Tulum, not even including all the alpha group and everything else that will come as the market turns around.
Amen. There's a lot of reasons to be in the Dow. I mean, I'm just down here in Tulum and I'm just loving life, so that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, the Dow is great, man. And we just found an awesome new project too that we're going to be working with here. I mean, look, once the market turns bullish, we get a lot of incoming business. We got a lot of incoming deals, incoming pre-sales, incoming alpha calls. My calendar is booked for when I get back from this vacation. Just met another awesome new project. That's looking great. We signed a deal this week with what could be a really, really big project. We're going to do some content about that soon. I don't want to reveal too much. But, yeah, a lot of reasons to get in the Dow. Free vacation. Still might be the most value of them all. Because I'll tell you, I mean, being down here, it's fun making money and looking money on a screen. But it's much better to get out of, it's 35 degrees and snowing where I'm normally at this time of year. And
yeah, we just got our
85 and sunny.
We just got our first snow the past 2 days. It snowed 2 days in a row, so I feel you on that. It is nice to see. I love living in an area that has 4 seasons, but it would have been much better to look at it for a day or two and then move on with the weather, and we're not going to move on with this cold for a while. But yeah, I think people forget how quickly morale and momentum can shift in crypto, and understand that as we get these new projects, some people in the DAO will be like, well, I don't have fresh capital to get into those projects. Well, you can still benefit, because if those projects do well and there's marketing dollars or there's anything associated with these projects, our investments, whatever, we are put a percentage of any revenue, any income, any trade profits into buying and burning the Surf token or buying and adding LP to the Surf token. So you can still win by Surf token price go up. Also, we are doing our best slowly but surely to help the native Pulse chain pump when that does happen because of liquidity bonding. So granted, we can't make the tides change for the market, for Pulse chain, for everything else, but we can just do our part. And even if you don't have capital to get in the new projects we're talking about, you can still win by being a Surf holder as you slowly see that revenue trickle back into Surf buy and burns over time.
Here's a question from Baguito. What's going on, Baguito? Thanks for tuning in. By the way, guys, the $1,000 giveaway, that will be given out at the end of the week when I'm back from vacation. So for those who are participating in that, I know Baguito, I see you've been super active. Martin, I see Dovkin, who I think you're actually newer here. Shout out to you, bud. You can win $1,000 a month just by engaging with Crypto Paradise, and also the free vacations and the alpha and this and that. Just do your research, guys. Crypto Paradise is doing something special. But yeah, it turns out one of my predictions may have been wrong, because I thought Waller was a shoo-in for the next head of the Fed. But it looks like Kevin Hassett is now a slight leader. I mean, 55%. I mean, we're not talking. Oh wait. Now we're looking at 81. Okay.
Yeah, this was like a day or two ago, and now, man, I don't know what happened, but there must have been some news. It's 81% now.
I think Trump, during one of his speeches or press conferences, dropped his name, not specifically, but said, hey, one of the potential Fed chair, the next Fed chair, is actually in this room, and he either said his last name or he said his first name. I'm not sure, but if he said Kevin, hey, there's Kevin Warsh there as well, so maybe that's why he's catching a bid. I didn't watch the full video, but I think that's what happened. He was at a news conference and kind of was leaking some information there.
Yeah, one of the things I think is most bullish about this, Kevin Hassett's now the big leader. Not too long ago, it was Christopher Waller. Scott Bessent earlier this year was at the top. 9 months ago, early this year, Howard Lutnick's name was thrown around in there. But the biggest thing about it is all four of these guys, and I don't know too much about some of these other ones, but all four of the guys that have been leading this race at some point or another are all extremely bullish on Web3, on crypto, on Bitcoin. Like, these are all guys that we'd be happy to have in our corner, happy to be leading the Fed. So regardless of which guy gets in, I probably should do a little more study on them. They're probably not all equal, but all of the kind of top four guys we've seen floated in the last 12 months, very, very bullish on Bitcoin, very, very pro crypto. That being said, we said the same thing about Gary Gensler. Remember how that turned out?
Right.
Yeah, well, that was a Biden nominee, and that was a whole other mess of a story. I don't think Trump is going to miss the mark on this one. I mean, he knows this administration and this economy and the Treasury and the Fed, I mean, they all have to be aligned around supporting crypto because of the stablecoin discussion we had. I mean, it's really, if, ands, or buts. So this guy, they better drill down on him. They better subject him to a 10-hour interview if that's what it takes. But it better come out as, yes, I am aligned with the administration on prioritizing crypto and also lowering rates. I mean, we always talk about it from the standpoint of just crypto, risk assets, let's make money number go up on screen. But average everyday Americans are suffering because of these extremely high rates. The entire housing market is frozen. I got a friend, he's a builder. He's like underwater. He's like losing money every. He's a very, very good at his job, but he's just paying so much interest payments every month that it's crushing his business. I mean, we gotta lower these rates for the sake of everybody. And I think either one of these guys, Hassan, Warsh, Waller, it won't be Bessent because Trump needs Bessent as Treasury Secretary. He's doing a fantastic job over there, so it won't be Bessent. But either of these guys, gonna be great. And just another reason why the Bears are going to get wrecked and left behind. Just another reason, folks.
Well, I don't know what else we really got to cover today. We've gone over the ETH chart, the Bitcoin chart, the ETH to Bitcoin chart. We've talked about the Fed. We've been right about the interest rate cut. We'll see in 6 days, but the betting odds are on our side. If anything, it would be nice to see that surprise 50 BPS cut. And looks like we're going to get multiple interest rate cuts in 2026 as well, along with QE, along with pro-crypto Trump, and everything else that goes with it. And the first time in a long time, fundamentals continue to outperform price in the crypto markets, which is what you like to see. And this occurs when there's no retail in the market. It's only the very wealthy diamond hands holding on. It's only dummies like us that are tuning in, holding on, or trying to figure out ways to scrounge up quarters out of the couch cushions to buy more. And then it's the institutions trying to sell the products to you that they've created over the past few years. While they were flooding their bags, they were building software and building products to then sell to you, the investors and the retail market participants. And I think that is all still coming, and that's why I think we're on a 5-year cycle, looking at the ISM and everything else, rather than the 4-year cycle. And this was a normal 35% dip in a bull run, and let's see if those lows can hold here moving forward.
Awesome live show today. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to hear myself record videos on specific topics in the crypto space, I am going to be heading down to the beach with my family. Instead of watching my kids frolic in the waves, I can be recording videos on the phone. So wherever you guys want to hear us talk about, you want to get a take on this, that, the other thing, you let us know. Leave in the comments. What do you want us to talk about? Maybe it's a coin. Maybe it's a coin you're bullish on. I saw someone mention TokenFi up above. TokenFi, a project that we actually know quite well and have done work with in the past. Maybe we do a little video on TokenFi. I don't know.
And it looks like right at the end, Crypto Amaru froze, or he's doing the fake freeze frame so he can go drink another margarita.
Well, yeah, good. Lots of bullish stuff today. I think we got the green candles. We got all the macro stuff lining up. I'm feeling good. We'll see you guys back here same time tomorrow. And yeah, hopefully we get continuation of these green candles here. And just 1 week away from rate cut decision. So we'll keep you guys posted on all of that. Meantime, like, subscribe, share, all that jazz helps boost the channel, helps us get more opportunities to get back to you guys. Until next time, see you on the beach. Uh-oh, we lost our host.